That's why I love Joe Burrow.
I do love Joe for that.
You be tough on him, and then you know he'll say the same thing you just say. He's like, yo,
I love Joe Burrow.
And what's the spot they were in? 9-8, missed the playoffs after a stunning year by Joe Burrow. Talking from one quarterback to our quarterback, Chase, 14 years in the NFL. You know it very, very well. Does Joe Burrow owe the Bengals another playoff run?
That's good leadership, first of all.
Right
there from Joe. Because
That's
he's pointing the
Joe,
finger directly at him. That's always been Joe. He's always stood up, never pointed fingers. To me, no, he doesn't owe him another playoff win. Like, the least of the Bengals' worries right now and all the problems that they have is with Joe Burrow. He is the last person they're worried about showing up, including Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Henderson, all the stars on that team. In my opinion, like, you can't play much better than what Joe Burrow did last season. If you look back on the season as a quarterback and you only want 6 to 10 plays back, like you wish you could have done something, that's a very, very good season. Now, some of these plays came in very difficult situations for him and plays that he wants back. But if you're looking at it, this is the least of their problems. How about everyone else raise their standards of play? Like, there were 3 guys on the Bengals last year, the guys I said, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Henderson, that stepped up. There's 53 men on the roster last time I checked. So, in fact, they owe Joe some playoffs. They owe Joe to play better. Joe has played exceptionally, insanely good football from the time he's walked in this league. Yes, he's missed the playoffs in back-to-back years. Yes, he still won 9 games last year with a defense that was ranked 25th in points per game. Look at some of the top quarterbacks last year that had to deal with their defenses being good and then their defense of Joe Burrow being bad. Okay, these are just some of the top quarterbacks. Herbert had the #1 scoring defense in all of football. Jalen Hurts, 2nd best scoring. Patrick Mahomes, 4th. Lamar Jackson, 9th. Josh Allen, 11th. Joe Burrow, 25th. And then the losses, it went to 32 points a game. There's a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. And I show this because it's difficult as a quarterback to continually play at such a high level. Yes, he has some plays he wants back. But, Joe, you can't play any better than you did last year. You can make some plays, but my goodness, how about the whole team step up around him?
I like that. One, that's well said, but I do think Joe Burrow owes the Bengals a playoff run because, Joe, the Bengals have given you everything you want. So, in turn, you got to give them the playoffs. They made you one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the history of football. Not only that, you said you wanted both your wide receivers back. You got both your receivers. But randomly, you said you also wanted your tight end, Mike Gesicki. You got your tight end. Anything Joe Burrow has asked for, he's been given that. So in turn, Joe Burrow, give him a playoff run. Chase brought up a good point about the Bengals defense and their lack thereof. But I was thinking, bro, where your money is where your talent is. If you think about the top 5 salary caps hit for the Bengals, I want y'all to look at this closely. Joe Burrow, quarterback. Then number 2 and number 3 are things that help the quarterback and wide receivers. Then number 5 is the thing that protects the quarterback. 4 of the 5 highest paid positions for the Bengals, 1 is a quarterback, and then 3 of the next 4 support the quarterback. So you can't be mad, Joe Burrow, when your defense isn't as stout as you would like your defense to be, because all of the finances are going to you, Joe Burrow. The most important position, not named the quarterback, is probably the left tackle, supporting and protecting the quarterback's blind side, Orlando Brown. And then the next most important things are what the quarterback throws to and the wide receivers. So, of course, the defense won't be as good as it's supposed to be because the Bengals are prioritizing the finances of the offense. Joe, we've given you everything you want. Please give us another playoff run in return. Please.
My man. I'm gonna agree with Acho, man. You owe them guys that, man. They deserve another playoff win. You know, when Joe Burrow came on the scene, he was looked at as like the savior for the Bengals.
Yes, sir.
Why was that?
You did.
Because when that brother was healthy, man, you seen a difference. You seen the whole entire community, you see the whole entire franchise elevate because Joe Burrow was that good. You know, and one thing about being a really great player, right, is that you are accountable. And Chase, this saying he's doing right now, this little interview he had, and he said, I got to play better. He ain't making that up.
Great leadership.
Leadership or not, it's like, this is what I need to do because I am that good of a player. This is why y'all brought me here. This is why I'm the number 2 highest paid quarterback in the league because I take my team to the playoffs. Imagine having a quarterback, highest paid, and we can't even, I ain't even talking about no Super Bowls, fellas. I'm talking about making the playoffs. That's like the bare minimum on the list. You get what I'm saying? And we all look at Joe Burrow as a super gangster. I look at him as an American gangster. Well, you can't be an American gangster, bro, if you ain't going to the playoffs. Because we can't even talk about you like that. We talk about you because Joe Burrow don't have no all-pros, fellas. Joe Burrow don't have no MVPs, fellas.
No, we don't.
You know what he do got, though? He had a bad franchise and took it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He beat Patrick Mahomes so nobody else can do it.
Yeah.
So we can't see that standard and see you do that, and now it's like, oh, well, get some stats, Joe, and whatever Bengals do, they just do. No, because he knows that. He hears the conversation.
100%.
You think he in there with his mom and his dad and they ain't talking? He like, I gotta do better. Mom said, you played great. Oh my God, you had 4,000, you had 5. Mom, I didn't make the playoffs. Yes, so he knows he has to do better, and he will, because he is that good of a player.
And not only that, even when you watch the tape, and that's why we say up here, nobody's saying Joe Burrow ain't like that.
He's like that.
We just saying that you can't be mentioned with them dudes if you don't get to the playoffs. But number one, I respect Joe. Joe's one of the quarterbacks that I respect in this league because it's not too many of the quarterbacks in our league, whether we like it or not, that pat their chest first. It's a lot of people, man, we could have did this, we could have did that, we could have did that. Joe Burrow, even after the losses, go back and listen to some of Joe Burrow's interviews. Joe Burrow, even after the losses, always pats his chest. He always does,
a real one.
whether he made the play or not. But what Joe Burrow is saying right here to me is what I tried to tell Chase last week on the show. When you play the game of football, and we all have played the game of football, but when you're in the middle of your career, you don't think about the touchdowns you scored. You think about the plays you did not make. So after the game, the wife would be like, man, how you, great game, you had 102. I'm like, damn, I dropped 2 of them things. I could have had 180.
And we lost.
That's what we think about. So Joe right here is letting me know that, dang, if I would have played better in the Patriots game, that's one game we in the show. Dang, if I didn't fumble that ball against the Kansas City Chiefs, as good as my season went, we would have been in the playoffs. Those are the plays I think he's saying that where I could have played better, I could have did better. Those are not the whole season. My man almost threw for 5,050 touchdowns. So we know you had a heck of a year, but at the same time, when you're playing, it's the plays you don't make that you think about. And I think that is what Joe's saying, man. There's a couple plays that I left out there that lost games for our team. And if we win those 2, we got 11 games. And you know what? Then people probably scared that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is walking into these playoffs.
Yeah, he's a competitor, no doubt. I respect the way he plays, everything about it. My issue with what all you guys are saying, it's not sustainable for a quarterback to play like he's playing. He has to play perfect every single game for them to have even an inkling of chance to win a football game. And that is because of the team building around him. They chose that path. Yes, he wanted it, but you have to eventually say, hey, build some defense. They haven't done anything on the defensive side of the football this year. They haven't even signed Trey Hendrickson back. Yeah, they got a little bit younger. They fired their DC, who I think is a great defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. But my thing is, like, it's a single player, right? And so when you look at the quarterback position, you have to end up having help around you. You can only do so much as a quarterback. Look at everyone else on those teams that I showed. They all have extremely great teams, not just supporting cast. I think Joe Burrow has 2 of the top receivers in the league.
He does.
But if you can't play defense and you're scoring, and I think they were 4th or 5th points per game, whatever it was, Colin, let's check that. It's just not sustainable. And to your point, James, I think the biggest thing is the question, right? Does Joe Burrow owe the Bengals another playoff run? The reason why the Bengals are the Bengals right now, is because of Joe Burrow. It's because of one person who has completely changed that franchise around. It's time for that franchise to help Joe Burrow out. We would not be talking about the Bengals. They were awful forever. Until Joe Burrow got there and did what he did. So now to have continued success, before you go, Shady, to have continued success, he has to have some help team-wise around him. You can't play much better as a quarterback.
So that's what happens when you're a bad team, you get the number 1 pick. That number 1 pick is supposed to be a franchise changer. And most of them do that. You get your franchise quarterback, Chiefs, they got Patrick Mahomes, it's changed. Lamar Jackson, he won the number 1 pick, 32nd pick. Right?
Look at both of their defenses.
Well, hold on, Chase. It changed, right? Josh Allen. I was over there for that. It was real bad. No talent. It changed. Joe Burrow comes to the Bengals. You know what happens? It changes. I look at that, his biggest playoff run when they beat the Chiefs and they went to the championship, Super Bowl. And, you know, we talk about the plays that he didn't make this year. That's why he's not in the playoffs. But you know what took him to the Super Bowl? The plays he did make.
Yes, he did.
I remember numerous times in that game.
Took off running.
Not even that. I remember they had Chris Jones had him wrapped up, sack, trying to close the game out. Somehow, some way, he breaks out of it, scrambles, throws darts down the field. Another time, same dude, Chris Jones, one of the best defensive players we got in this league. He breaks out of it, runs for first down. I'm like, yo, the reason why they went that far in the playoffs is because the plays that he did make. And as I look at him now, right, like, and Chase is right, though. Some games, like, yo, you got to play damn near perfect.
No doubt.
But there's also games where you got to get the gimmies. You play against Lamar, you might play against Pat, yo, you might have to be perfect. And you lose. When you playing the sorry Patriots, there's no Belichick, there's no Tom Brady, you not winning them games? Think about that for a second, though.
Yeah, that's the games that hurt
We
you.
only talking about the big games. What about the gimmies?
Yeah.
When you have a season, right, and this is coming from a player's perspective that played at a high level, there's certain games where I'm like, yo, against this team, yeah, I'm going to have me 185, maybe 2 touchdowns. But this game right here, I just got to be perfect and give my team a chance to win. It might be a 78 or 80-yard game, but I got to play really well for us to win this game. So I guess the same way if he's playing against Josh Allen or playing against Lamar or playing against Pat. But when you're playing against Brissett for the pay, like, come on, man. That should be a walk in the park win.
Yeah.
And they only really needed one win to get in the playoffs. So all I'm saying is, Chase, you are right, but you can't be this good and this great and this special, because Joe Burrow is special.
Yes, he is.
And you not being in the playoffs, that don't add up to me,
And he
dog.
needed it for himself, not the Bengals.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is a Hall of Fame player.
Yes,
right?
he is.
And I'm not saying he got Hall of Fame numbers and stats and all,
Yeah.
but he a Hall of Fame player. He needs this for himself. Forget the Bengals. He needed it for himself. He building his resume.
A playoff ain't going to get you in the Hall of Fame, James.
No, but the run.
The run.
The run won't get you. A Super Bowl will. An All-Pro will, which he is yet to
How you
have.
going to get to that,
How you gonna get there
James?
if you don't get to the
You gotta
playoffs?
get in the dance
But you're
every
saying
year
if he
in your
just gets to
prime.
the playoffs.
I'm not.
I'm
You
just
listening to what I'm saying?
Yes, I am.
I'm saying this is Joe Burrow's career. Joe Burrow cannot be out of the playoffs, out of the playoffs, out of the playoffs. He needs to be in the playoffs, in the playoffs, in the
Right.
playoffs. Whether that means Super Bowl or not, when you turn on Joe Burrow's tape in his career, it's playoffs, playoffs, playoffs in your prime. Not in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, not in the playoffs.
And and I'm with you. And I just think that eventually the front office of the Bengals has to take over this team building and has to build this team not one-dimensional. Because eventually, Joe Burrow's signed. Eventually, at what point, because if you look at the top 5 quarterbacks, does Joe Burrow want out? Like, we were talking about that earlier. Like, I'm like, he's still good. It's still a good team. They're easily the worst team that they got.
But the hard part
And
for me,
it's the money, so he's not going to go. I get
The
it.
dilemma for me is like,
what he
somebody
wants.
said
They keep building
that
a team
part.
like this,
But
though.
you know what they say? There are no solutions in life, just trade-offs. When I think about the team you mentioned in like the Chargers and how good they were, well, the top 3 highest paid players is Justin Herbert, then you get Derwin James and Khalil Mack. The Ravens, they got a real good defense. Well, yeah, you're playing Roquan Smith, the 2nd highest paid player, and then Nnamdi Madubuike is the 4th highest paid player. They're allocating resources. The Eagles are the only team that does not have a
Eagles,
defensive
yeah.
player in the top 5, but shout out to Howie Roseman and everything he did with Zach
They're
Bond,
very
everything he
young.
did with Reed Blankenship, et cetera. So when I think about the Bengals, if Joe got rid of T and got rid of Gesicki and built a defense, he ain't gonna give you them same numbers. So which one you want? You want 34 touchdowns and a moderate defense, or you want 45 touchdowns and a bad defense? But if Joe had a great defense, he ain't gonna have them numbers. So there's no solutions in life. It's really just trade-offs. Joe Burrow, you gotta find a way to find a solution yourself. What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you wanna get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.